It's Slate Night, the Film Fan Podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Corey and Mason.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Slate Night, the Film Fan Podcast, the podcast made by film fans for film fans. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Mason Schmidt, here with my best bud, Corey Knudsen.
Go Pats, go.
That's sad to hear. And I'm actually really terrified because now the Bills are gone, the Broncos have an injured quarterback, so a lot of things playoff football-wise that are really worrying Mason nowadays, especially since the Pats bounced the Chargers rather quickly, which wasn't like unforeseen, but was really depressing to just sit through. Anyways, this is a movie podcast, so we'll talk about movies first and foremost. We'll look back over the week of new releases, what we watched, what's new, what's old, film news, which there's not a lot. January's kind of saving us a little bit. It's a little bit of a slow-moving start to 2026, I think. But yeah, we'll talk about physical media as well. But first, Corey, how have you been aside from watching your Pats really slowly grind the Chargers down for
defensive
a full
battle?
Quarter? Very much, yeah.
Yeah, there's one touchdown, I think, in the game.
Yeah, for the Pats, yeah.
Yeah, so that was, sorry about your Chargers. I would have been rooting for them against anybody else playing anybody else.
And I'm not that salty about it because I kind of just went into it this is likely not going to go my way. If it does, awesome, but let's just prepare myself for disappointment because I love the Chargers, but that's what they're good at, is disappointing me. So not to be but being big fans of the Vikings and the Chargers, add the Bills to that, I'm just depressed all my life. I don't know what to say.
As a Pats fan, I got to see Josh Allen cry on the podium yesterday.
That's not a good look either. I like the Bills. I wanted them to win that game. It's a toss-up between, I feel a lot of those calls and how they went that maybe they should have won, but also maybe don't turn the ball over 3 times. But then cry on the podium, buddy.
Dude, Haley's going to take the kid. She saw that and she's like, oh, fuck, that's a little...
You sent me the thing from Sinners of, get out of my fucking face.
Get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out of here.
But anyways, yeah, so I'm in a good mood.
So, aside from the Pats, who on the NFC would you like to see against the Pats if they make
Honestly, all the teams that I hate are out now. The Eagles, Packers, and Bills. Those are the only 3 teams I didn't want to win.
Okay.
I don't really want the Bears. I don't dislike the Bears, but I'm I'd prefer
NFC
the Rams
North.
or Seahawks.
See, I don't want I'm getting tired of the Rams. I love Stafford, but I'm getting tired of the Rams. I think it'd be cool if the Bears won it, just that story with Ben Johnson, or for them to go, that story with Ben Johnson, whether they won it or not, I don't really care that much out of the teams left. I want the Texans, just because they haven't won a Super Bowl, but they, sadly, are also going up against the Patriots later on today, So don't know the likelihood of that. CJ Stroud's not looking the great. The defense is
nasty,
so who knows? We'll see.
Yeah. But anyways, football side, got Busch Lights on tap for me. Mason's drinking his shitty kombucha or whatever.
I was so worried about what descriptive word we're going to put in front of kombucha. But
what flavor? Do you want to shout out your thing?
Kavita, pineapple peach. I'm feeling like a child doing show and tell. Yeah, I like it. But no, you can get some alcoholic booch. I hate saying booch too. That's not a good.
With your beanie on, you fucking hipster.
It's fucking cold out. It's 1 degree.
It's only -10.
Yeah,
dude.
it sucks. Every time I come over here, it's snowing. Every Sunday without fucking fail, it snows. And I'm can I just get through a day where it doesn't snow on me? Oh, fucking shit on me. So, yeah, it's cold. I'm actually getting warm now, so this is staying. My hair is fucked right now, so
yeah, anyways,
my toupee will come off.
We got the Bush, got that. We got a new Zach Bryan album out. New Luke Combs song is out.
New Nia DaCosta movie out.
A new Nia DaCosta movie out. Yeah, I'll let you handle that. First of all, I would like to start off with some positivity as far as that goes. So why don't you introduce the first movie this week?
Yeah, so the movie we were probably most looking forward to going into this past release weekend was 28 Years Later, The Bow and Temple, which, as we mentioned, is directed by Nia DaCosta, which she kind of has a somewhat okay track record between Candyman, which is fine, Marvels we like a decent amount, and I really liked Hedda. So coming off of that, I feel like Hedda was, from what I had seen at the time, the best movie she had made. So I kind of gained some steam, and I was getting really excited for this movie. And then all the reviews have been great. This is the second of the 28 Years franchise or route within this franchise.
I don't know what to call the franchise.
The 28.
28 franchise?
Sure. When I say the 28, it makes me for some reason think of the 355, which is not a good movie. But anyway, so the 28 franchise, I don't know.
Sure.
But this was continuing from 28 years later. We got Jack O'Connell, Ray Fiennes, Emma Laird, and Alfie Williams. And this is just the continuation of Spike, his story, where he kind of ended up at the end of that first film last year with Jimmy Crystal and the Jimmies. And now Ray Fiennes is still doing some potential experiments on, is it Samson? And trying to maybe crack the code on how to kind of rehabilitate some of these infected. And it's just kind of progressing us to what that likely third chapter is going to be. But yeah, I'm not going to bury the lead. I loved this movie. And it is easily one of my favorite horror sequels. I don't necessarily look at these movies going into them as being horror films straight up. I think of them more as like a thriller. 28 Days Later kind of freaked me out a little bit, but as we've kind of gotten comfortable within this franchise, it's still just, it's engaging, it's suspenseful, it's thrilling. There's some really grotesque gore in this movie. There's a barn sequence pretty early on that really made my stomach turn a good amount and made me feel sick to my stomach. I love the Jimmies. I love what they do with Ray Fiennes in this movie. We'll talk a little bit more ad nauseum, a little bit more in detail as to kind of our overall thoughts, but Corey, I'm going to throw it to you because I think you might have a different thought or view of this movie than I.
I feel like I'm getting punked. Seeing this movie premiered for critics like a month ago, maybe.
What? Yeah.
And
I think 2025 still, yeah.
Yeah, so it was like December or something, and people were coming out of that being like, this is going to be one of my favorite movies of 2026. Like, this movie's just, so many people were saying it, and I was just like, oh wow, that's pretty high praise for this movie that I was like somewhat excited for. And then just when it came out this weekend, everybody was like, this movie is fucking amazing. This thing is special. This is a thing. Mm-hmm. And I saw the movie and I was like, are we watching the same thing? Are we? I don't know. Did
my theater get the wrong cut of the film?
I did not care for this movie. And I don't know. A lot of like spoilery type things I want to talk about, so I'll keep it brief for this non-spoiler part. We talked about the 28 franchise last year before 28 years later. I love 28 Days Later. I think it's great. 28 Weeks I think is very underrated.
Yeah, solid sequel.
And then 28 years later, I think, I've said a lot, I love the first half of that movie. Aaron Taylor Johnson and his son hunting for fucking infected and that community that they have on the little causeway or whatever. I love that whole sequence. When it transitions more into like the Ray Fiennes stuff and the Jimmy stuff and more of that, it felt more uneven to me and didn't work. And so that's why I think last week I even said that I was nervous that this movie was taking more from that second half, which it absolutely is. Yeah, Aaron Taylor Johnson's not in this movie, so don't expect him at all.
It made me to the point, because I've only seen 28 Years Later once, it made me, while watching it, I'm like, did he die? Like, I don't remember what happened with Aaron Taylor Johnson in the first movie. I was just like, where is he at?
Yeah, because he just had like the baby that Spike dropped off at the end of the first one, or 28 Years Later. So I was already kind of like, they're taking things I don't like from 28 Years Later and making a whole movie about it. And like you mentioned, this movie is kind of like two main stories going on of the Jimmies and Spike, and then of Ray Fiennes and trying to cure Samson and all this shit. Yeah. So those things just didn't interest me. They didn't work for me. And kind of want to get into spoilers now. So if you haven't seen 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, go watch it. Come back and then watch this. So to start off with the Jimmies, let's start there. I don't give a singular fuck about these characters. They showed up at the end of 28 Years Later, and it was such an odd way to end that movie. I think everybody in America was like, what the fuck is this? Yeah. And then like reading up that it was like based on this Jimmy Savile guy from the UK that was like a TV personality, and then he had some weird allegations or some bullshit come out about him. Yeah. Whatever. Felt just like a weird choice, and I continue to not give a fuck about them in this movie. They're just a weird, like, zany bunch of people that are like, ooh, we're crazy in the apocalypse. We wear tracksuits, and we wear chains and necklaces, and we're all named Jimmy. And I'm like, don't give a fuck. You don't add anything to this for me. I think Jack O'Connell is good. He's very, he's magnetic in the movie. I think that everyone's very committed. But for me, in this arc, what didn't work was the character of Spike, because I love Alfie Williams still. I think he's great. But in that first movie, seeing him from going to that community where he's going out on his first hunt with his father, and then it transitions to him with his mom going out on a journey to meet Ray Fiennes, and then losing his mom, and then kind of leaving the baby and going off on his own adventure. I thought that was such a great arc for his character. In this movie, he doesn't have an arc. It's, I'm a scared kid that needs to get out of this situation. And that's the whole movie, where I think it would have been more interesting if he were to like want to join the Jimmies and see them and see like, oh, this is like a new chapter for me. And then over the course of the movie realizes like, oh, these people are fucked up. But from the get-go in this movie, the very opening scene, it's like, no, he needs to get out of there. These people are fucked. And the whole movie is just him being like, I'm trying to find a way to escape. So that aspect of the movie just didn't work for me. And it, like, it felt like it was not focused on anything I was interested in. This is not an infected or zombie movie, so also don't go in expecting that.
Yeah, I don't have like a lot of negatives. Like I said, we're kind of opposites on how we feel about this movie. But the one I would maybe throw this way is that you get the least amount of exposure to those infected with the rage virus in this movie. It's very subdued. You get a couple of scenes with just like some other people out in the woods that Spike then kind of happens upon with the Jimmies. But there's not a lot of zombie terror like we got in the original 2 films and then 28 years later as well. So this one's a little bit more subdued. The most we get of anyone infected is through Samson. So, which I like what they do with them, but I was like, I want more of like that zombie feel to it. I wish we could have had more of that in here too.
Yeah, and so that was one half, like I said, and then the other part of this movie is Ray Fiennes. He's Dr. Kelson. He's been out there forever, just trying to cure this, and he's got a bunch of medicines and stuff, and he kind of forms a bond with Samson. They spend probably the first 45 minutes of the movie just tripping out on morphine and just sitting on hills and looking at shit, and I'm like, okay. I think that I was more interested in this story beat more so than the Jimmy thing. I think the best scene in this movie is when Samson kind of gets cured partly by this thing, and he's like sitting on a train, and then flashes back to like kind of gets glimpses of his life before. I'm like, this is really interesting.
Yeah. And
then they cut away from that, and we don't do anything more with that. And which, like, granted, that we're probably getting a third movie, so it's like we could explore that more. I don't want to write the whole story here, but that was the part where I'm like, this is cool and new, and I wanted more of this specifically. But a lot of this is just them tripping on morphine, and Ray Fiennes, playing songs on his little fucking vinyl thing, and like, the Iron Maiden thing is a big moment in this movie. That was like one of a lot of choices that I just didn't care for in the movie. I understand why people like this movie and dig it, but for me, I just wanted a bit more of the infected in the movie. Not that it's like, I just want a zombie movie. Like, that's not what I'm saying. Like, I think it just focused on some of the wrong things and just took 2 storylines that I wasn't as interested in from the last movie and kind of went with those. So that's kind of my main issues with this movie.
Do you have any like big key positives? You mentioned that train sequence. I really like that scene too. That's like one of the few moments you get, aside from like the barn sequence, I think, where you get a lot of good like kind of horror elements. Are there any other kind of highlights for you throughout the movies? Maybe aside from performances. Alfie did great. O'Connell did great. Ray Fiennes did great.
Like performances are all great. I think the movie looks good. I mean, I think Nia DaCosta brings a different visual style than Danny Boyle, where his is very like kind of frenetic and it's the camera on the infected as they're running a lot of times, and you still get some of that here. Another scene that a very small moment with Samson early on is they're like hunting this person that's in the woods with like a bow and arrow, and a person's on the ground and he's looking at them, and it goes through his perspective, and he sees like an infected almost, or like a villain, like a threat to him.
Yeah. I'm
like, anything with Samson and like his perspective I thought was the best part of this movie.
Yeah.
And again, I just wanted more specifically with that. Again, this is spoiler stuff. My favorite chunk of this movie was the last like 5 minutes when we see Cillian Murphy. He's back. It had been speculated that he's going to come back, so we see him kind of following up from the end of 28 Days Later when they got this house and he's, teaching his the kid school stuff and just training him, which I just thought was so sweet.
I love that interaction. He's like, if you mention that in the test tomorrow, you'll probably get extra credit points. And she's like, you wrote the test. And he's like, I'm done talking.
I'll say no more. It was just so sweet. And I'm like, this is like a good little like society that they've kind of created there. And what I will say is I'm much more excited for the setup of the next movie than I was at the end of 28 Years Later.
Going to this one.
Yeah. So I think like with Cillian Murphy being like, all right, we got to save Erin Kellyman, who's also really good in this movie. I feel like she got a bad rap for being Enfys Nest in Solo, and then one of the Flag Smashers.
Yeah, Flag Smashers, that's what it was.
Falcon and Winter Soldier, where like she was actually a good part of this movie as well, but seeing her and Spike and them saving them, I think that leads to something interesting for another movie. But I just like I didn't really vibe with this movie. I couldn't get into the story that they were giving me.
Okay, I get your take on it, I just went the complete opposite way on almost everything. Like I loved that break from Danny Boyle. Like I love Danny Boyle. He's one of my favorite directors, but his style, and I kind of got it more in 28 Years Later, where it kind of grated at me a little bit with like the frenetic shaking. I was like, okay, I get it, and I like it in 28 Days Later. I'm happy that we kind of have a little bit of a further progression of that style, and we lose some of that freneticness, but we do have like the camera being locked onto a person, getting that perspective. Like I really liked what Nia DaCosta did with the camera work in this film. It felt more kind of viewer friendly in a way that some of Danny Boyle's 28 stuff doesn't always feel viewer friendly. It's not as jarring. I still like those, but like I really liked where we went with this. I think there's some great moments of tension with I mentioned the barn sequence already. I also love that immediate conversation. Maybe my favorite part is that conversation between Jack O'Connell as Jimmy Crystal with Ray Fiennes, who he's like, hey, like, it's kind of nice to just like shoot the shit with you and talk to someone my age and like to be able to like see what you're going through and all that. But also, here's my debacle. I need you to be Satan so I can prove to my disciples that I'm your son. Like old Nick, what they call him. I love that. And I love how quick of a turn, how sadistic he is. He's like, and I need you to do this, otherwise I'm going to feed you your own intestines. And he just like says it with a smile, which like someone saying, some crazy person saying like straightforward, painful, horrific shit to you in a very matter-of-fact way. It's done a lot, but it works so well. And I think Jack O'Connell, I like him more in this movie than I do in Sinners. Not to say he's not great in Sinners, but in this performance, he stole the movie for me. Him and Ray Fiennes, especially in scenes together, I was like, damn, powerhouses all around. I'm not as bothered by, and I think having taken it in the context that this is a trilogy, so this is this middle chapter, I'm not bothered, so I'll agree, Alfie doesn't have the biggest arc. But I don't think he needs to have an arc, really, in this movie. And there's movies that are great that with characters that don't have arcs. Like Big Lebowski, he doesn't have a fucking arc, the dude. He's completely fine. He's the same throughout. Social Network, Mark Zuckerberg is the same throughout. He just gets more successful. Like Ferris Bueller is the same. Like there's characters that a movie doesn't need to have a character arc for it to be good. But I feel like it's more common for a good movie to happen with an arc where the main character or main focus of the movie has an arc. I think he has a great setup of an arc in the first movie, and I think it will maybe, hopefully, if they tie it up well. Who's directing the third one?
I don't know if Danny Boyle's coming back.
Yeah, I don't know if
I'm
that's
not sure.
I don't even know if they have a title announced.
I know Alex Garland's writing it.
Yeah,
for sure.
And still like his writing. I think it works well within this world. I like a lot of the stuff that they do with exploring curing Samson. I do think, and this kind of plays into that negative of me wanting more infected in this. I get it. Like, I think I've had enough of, in the zombie movies, the monster isn't the zombies, it's the people living in the apocalypse. I'm like, okay, I get it. And we kind of get that with the Jimmies. But also, I love that dynamic. I think it is a jarring shift at the end of 28 Years Later, but I think it works really well, especially one of the first scenes, if not the first scene, is kind of Spike's, like, taking an oath, basically, dueling, having, like, a ritualistic fight to the death with one of the members to take his spot, basically, because he has to be one of Jimmy's, like, 7 fingers, he calls them. I really liked that. I think that the disciples, they didn't annoy me because it made sense to me. I'm like, all of these kids were not alive when the world was normal. Only Jimmy Crystal was. Or whatever his name was, I guess, before he was Jimmy Crystal, which we get at the beginning of 28 Years Later. And then they have the talk of the Teletubbies in this movie, too, which also was just so interesting when they're invading that house. But yeah, there's not a lot in this movie that really didn't work. I do like what they introduced with Samson and his perspective of what he sees. And then you get a little bit of a payoff with Ray Fiennes. He's like, I don't know what people look like to you. Or they have some sort of a exchange there. And I think that works well. I think kind of moving forward, I'm really excited. It ends on such a killer moment. Mm-hmm. Like, and just a show of heroic acts of just like the daughter being like, "Do we help him?" He's like, "Of course," and it ends. I'm like,
You get the score that comes
the
back
score
in
comes
there.
back
Yeah.
in. It works so well. So I get your take on it. For me, I go the other way. I think that this was a more viewer friendly foray into the 28 franchise. I think the stakes are there. I love Jimmy Crystal. I think he's a great villain. I like that scene with Iron Maiden. Awesome. I will say one of my favorite songs of all time is in this movie, "Everything in Its Right Place" by Radiohead. I love that song. When it came on, I was like, it's a bit overplayed. It's a bit overused, especially in Danny Boyle stuff. He uses it a lot. So and Fincher uses it a lot. And I'm just like,
Creator had it.
Creator hat. I'm like, it's a bit overused. I feel like you could use something else here. And to have that song and then Iron Maiden, I'm like, just do the Iron Maiden song. Like, do something different here. So like that one's kind of more of a nitpick for me, even though it is one of my favorite songs ever. But I'm just like, okay, took me out a minute. But yeah, I think the performances are great. Emma Laird was sensational. I really liked her in this. So I can't sing the praises of this movie enough. I do like it more than 28 Years Later.
Ooh.
Nothing's going to top 28 Days Later.
Yeah, what's your ranking, quick?
Bone Temple would be my second. 28 Days Later is favorite. Bone Temple second. And then it's 28 Weeks Later is so underrated.
So
like,
good.
no one talks about it.
So good.
The opening of that movie, I think, is the best opening in the entire franchise. And it'd really be a toss-up between that and 28 Years Later for third. And then fourth. They're probably, for ease of it, they're probably tied for third right now, just because I don't know if I can make a decision between that. I've had more time with 28 Weeks Later. It was the first one I saw, so I think I have a little more nostalgia, so it might give it the edge. But what about you?
I'd go in release order: days, weeks, years, and then Bone Temple. Yeah, this one, Bone Temple, to me felt very much like a middle chapter of like, we need to get a character from here to here, which like for me was Spike, of getting him from the end of Years Later, and then to meeting up with Cillian Murphy. And the Jimmies are kind of gone now, so it's like, okay, what was their point then? Like, and again, you kind of mentioned of like the tired thing of like the real monsters are the humans, and it's like, yeah, okay, we're in a barn for 20 minutes and they're skinning people, but like, what is this progress? Like, what are we doing? I get, again, like, I understand why people like that element of it. It just wasn't for me. So it just really kind of, like I said, took some of those parts from 28 Years Later I didn't care as much about. I would have loved if this movie didn't have the Jimmies, and if they weren't in the 28 Years Later as well, if they were just completely erased. If this movie was Alfie Williams with Ralph Fiennes while they're trying to cure Samson, while Aaron Taylor Johnson is trying to find his son, I think that would have been such a more interesting movie. And then we can end on the same beat of meeting up with Cillian Murphy. I just think that, like, Aaron Taylor Johnson going out with some people from that community, and then you can still get some of that infected action of them, like, attacking them as they're trying to find Spike. I just think that, for me, was kind of where I was like, oh, that's how the first movie ended. Like, Aaron Taylor Johnson's like, fuck, my son is still out there. It felt like a natural progression. So that, I guess that's kind of, maybe that was my own expectations. I don't know.
It does put a lot of kind of, not a lot, but there's pressure now on the third. Like, one, for them to make it, obviously, but three, how do they tie all this together? Because, like, I kind of agree with you. You don't need to have the Jimmies at all in this story, unless you're going to use it to lead to something in that third film. Or use it to influence Alfie a little, or Spike a little bit. I don't mind that idea of, like, Aaron, because if they completely drop Aaron Taylor Johnson, he's nowhere to be seen in this next one. I'd be like,
that's weird.
Where is he then? What is he? He's not looking for his son at all. Is he just all tied up with the new baby? Like, I feel like that would be kind of odd if they don't carry on that plot line or that subplot. I think it'd be that idea of, like, what if it was Spike and
Kelson.
I was gonna say Dr. Ian, but I'm like, I don't want to just say Dr. Ian Malcolm. Ian Kelson. I think that could have been good because, this kind of does reveal maybe another issue I might have with the movie. We end, or almost end, 28 Years Later with him with Dr. Kelson, and then he so narrowly gets caught up with the Jimmies. It's like, it took such a long time to rework to get him back to Kelson, kind of, and have that moment, but then he doesn't travel on to Cillian Murphy's character without Emma Laird's character. So I'm like, you could rework that and make it a little bit more streamlined, again, it's hard to say right now because the trilogy's not complete. We don't know where things are going to tie up, but it does put more pressure on it to where it's like, all right, but you need to validate some of the stuff that you've set up. You need to finish some of your storylines. So I love it as is. I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm excited to see Cillian Murphy back because he's killing it in his career. He's blowing up everywhere. He was a character actor, I feel like, for the longest time, but between Peaky Blinders, Oppenheimer, even his small roles in Dunkirk, the Batman film, like, he's everywhere now, I feel like. And I love it. And he just seems so charming, especially in this role, where he's just like, yeah, we're going to go help him, and him just quizzing his daughter on stuff. I was like, hell yeah. Like, I liked the feeling that this movie had of just hope. Just kind of going through it, especially with Kelson's trials with Samson and trying to figure that out. I like that kind of edge that they're leaning into, and I'm excited to see where that kind of goes. I just can't wait for a third one now, though. I'm really digging this trilogy. This felt like an Empire Strikes Back. Not like it's that good, but it serves the purpose of what an Empire Strikes Back in that film, or that trilogy, but with the 28 franchise. So I'm really excited for the third. I loved this movie. And like I said, I do think that this one's an improvement on the first, or 28 years later.
Yeah, it's again, I realize that I'm in the minority. Like, I was talking to people at work that saw this movie, and they're like, oh, I fucking love it. Like, this is great. This is one of my favorite horror movies I've seen in a while. And I'm like, I'm glad people are loving it. Like, that's great. And I feel like just kind of a surprising movie. Like, we don't get a lot of these where the sequel comes out like 6 months after the other one.
Yeah, that's an interesting release.
We don't get that much. Like, that happened with like The Matrix back in the day, where it was like a year later or something. So what was it the first one in The Matrix came out, and then the second and the third came out like back to back? Or was it? Okay. Yeah, it was like Reloaded and Revolutions, like pretty close. I think it was the same year.
Yeah, I think it was just beginning and end.
Yeah, but yeah, I was a little bit, I don't even know if disappointed is the right word, because I wasn't like anticipating this movie a lot, but it just didn't give me what I wanted. I guess I wanted more of an arc for Spike, because I loved his arc in the first movie, and I think pairing him with Kelson more, and like you mentioned, the kind of hope of finding a cure, I think that could have been an interesting pairing to see more of in this movie. But also, at the end of this movie, we don't see Naomi Harris. She was alive at the end of 28 Days Later. Yeah. I'm assuming that she has maybe died, and Cillian Murphy's watching the kid. But it'll be interesting to see how what they reveal in the next movie.
Where did you see this movie at?
I saw it at actually a really good theater experience. Imagine Egan on the EMX screen, which is their biggest one. They have Dolby sound in there, so it was like the Iron Maiden scene really fucking rocked in that theater. So a good theater experience, and like the sound and everything. Like I said, the visuals in the movie looked really good. I've
had kind of interesting theater going experiences for both these 28 Years Later films. The first one I saw it at the Main, and it was on like a really hot day, and I was trying to find parking, and I had to park because they don't have their own parking lot because it's in the cities, so that you have to find a meter or an open spot, and I had to walk like 3 blocks, basically jog 3 blocks while the start time of the movie was already going. So I was like, fuck, how long are these trailers gonna be? And I'm just hoofing it, and I get in, and I was just pissing sweat the entire movie. Not from the movie. The movie is suspenseful, but I was just so sweaty, and I was so pissed. And then I had a good time. Seeing Bone Temple, I saw it at AMC. I saw it like midday on like 2. I saw it at like a 2 o'clock showing.
Rosedale?
Yeah, Rosedale at AMC. And the guy next to me got up and left maybe 8 times to get refills of drinks and to get more food. This boy was putting food down. And not only that, I don't think it was his body odor. I think it was just all the things he was shoving into his fucking mouth and his gullet. But he smelt like if someone was burping into your face that had just eaten like concession hot dogs. The entire theater reeked like that for me. I was going to throw up. I felt so gross. And then when we get to that barn sequence where they're skinning stomachs off, which I like, they're like, take off their shirt. And it's skinning their top or their torso. And I'm like, watching that while this dude's just hot dogs next to me, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to fucking die. So that was a rough experience. I'm hoping that the third one, I have a somewhat normal experience. Yeah. It was so just nasty. I was like, oh my God.
Gross. One other random thing I just thought of. You mentioned the barn scene again. There's a thing that happens in that scene that bothers me in so many movies, even movies that I love, where there's like a duel going down. It's one of the guys that was tied up, and then one of the girls, one of the Jimmies, whatever fucking Jimmy variant she was. But she's like on top of him, like about to kill him.
I know what you're gonna say.
And then somebody up top from the barn puts like a hook down, and it goes through her head. And it's a solid probably 45 seconds to a minute.
Where no reaction is
where
happening.
you don't see the hook, but like you see she's like, ugh! And like you hear that she like got hit by something. And then everybody's like, nobody reacts to it until the camera cuts away.
And she's surrounded by people.
Yeah,
They're
and
all
then-
watching this exchange.
And like that's one of my least favorite things in movies is when it, like what the camera is showing is not what everybody else is seeing.
Yeah, this is not happening real time for every other
Yeah, they're seeing this fucking hook go down in her head, but it's 45 seconds for them to react. Again, this happens in so many movies I love. It's just a movie thing.
It stood out to me too, and I completely forgot about that. But I remember sitting in the theater and I was like, they cut away and you see Jack O'Connell's face pretty quickly after that, and he's still like, she's shocked by it. And I was like,
Yeah.
we've been here for a minute now.
Right.
With that hook in her head. You guys are all watching her fight this guy to the death. Like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Was... It's annoying when they do shit like that because it is pretty common. It just kind of sneaks up on you.
Yep.
And it's like, I feel like you guys should know in the edit, like, how do
I think it's just a thing of watching so many movies,
Yeah.
you know, like we do, and we're like, yeah,
Did you want us to clap? Like,
Yeah, like we...
you saving room for applause? Like, fucking
Right.
get on with the story. Get on with the rest of the scene, even. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But, you know, I'm glad that people are liking this movie a lot. I'm happy that a January movie is getting a lot of love. It's not doing great at the box office. I hope it has good legs.
The first one, or the 28 Years Later, I also did fine. It did well compared to its budget, so I'm hoping that this one can as well.
Yeah, and you know, even though this one didn't really work for me, I'd maybe give it like a B minus, C plus, maybe C plus, somewhere in that range. I am, like I said, excited for the next movie. You know, it sounds like they're getting the crew back together, Cillian Murphy, obviously. So excited to see what that can hold. Hopefully, I like it better than these other two because 28 years later, this trilogy has been a little bit disappointing for me overall. But I'm glad that you have enjoyed it along with a lot of other people. You mentioned Hedda, which was Nia DaCosta's movie from last year, and it's you know, it was getting some awards buzz, didn't really quite stick
Kind of
around.
fell off, yeah.
Tessa Thompson got a Golden Globe nomination for it, which we'll talk about the Globes winners in a little bit here. But this is based on a stage play from 1891 by Henrik Ibsen, and I don't know what time it's specifically supposed to take place in, but it's kind of this fancy party essentially that's taking place at this big fancy house, and Tessa Thompson and her husband are hosting the party. They bring a bunch of people in, and the movie is essentially Tessa Thompson's character of Hedda kind of manipulating a bunch of different people that come there, people that she's had romantic relationships with, you know, career relationships as far as her husband goes, and all of these different things she's kind of just planting little seeds along the way. I did not care for this movie either. This was, you know, I don't want to like shit on Nia DaCosta because I really don't think she's a bad director. I think that visually she has a lot of interesting things. I just think that like 3 of the 4 movies I've seen from her have been in franchises, and like maybe get out of it a little bit more, and like, and even this one is like it's based on something else. Like do something completely original. I haven't seen her directorial debut. I think it was Little Woods, I believe it was called, with Tessa Thompson. I haven't seen that, and I've heard good things. But with this movie, I just was not interested in any of the characters or the story. There wasn't anything I could really grasp onto or like latch onto with the characters. Tessa Thompson's kind of a bad person in this movie.
A little bit, yeah.
And
She's a little shaky.
She's a little shitty in the movie and pitting everybody against each other. And like the performances in the movie are good. Nina Haas, I think, is solid in the movie. Imogen Poots, I like seeing pop up and stuff. But I just wasn't invested in this kind of party scene and these characters going against each other. Just wasn't really for me. I don't know if this was a my TV problem or if it's a movie problem, but I thought the sound mixing was really bad in this movie. Where like the dialogue was really tough to hear in a lot of scenes. And again, it could just be a me, like my TV's not super new or anything.
Did you watch it off Prime?
Off Prime, yeah.
I did too, and I don't know if it was specific to Prime because I didn't see this in theaters. So it's like I also had subtitles on, and because I had the same thought when I watched it, I was like, I can't hear what the fuck they're saying right now.
Yeah, it was bad. And like the score, which I thought the score was good, but like the score kind of like booming in some points, and it was just the mixing. I didn't think was great.
This movie's about talking, and I can barely hear you guys talk.
Right. So it was a little tough. And it kind of brought up something that you said last year with a lot of movies, that there's unnecessary chapters in this. And
I hate when they do this.
And like with this movie, it doesn't really matter that there's chapters. Like I get that it's from the play, so like I understand that. But it, like with this movie specific, like with Frankenstein when it did it, I understand why they did it. It's just a matter of whether you like it or not, why they do the chapters. But this one, it's just like it'll toss up the Roman numeral at very random points. I'm like, okay, sure. Chapter 3, this doesn't mean anything to me.
Nothing makes me feel the length of a movie more than saying that or having that kind of plot point or that structure of a chapter or segmented chunk. Because I'm like, I'm only on chapter 2. They're not going to just do 2 parts of this. Like, there's going to be a third chapter, and there's 45 minutes left of this fucking movie.
Yeah, so it's just kind of unnecessary. There was one shot that I really liked. Tessa Thompson sees Nina Haas's character walk into the room, and they do kind of like a mix of a dolly zoom shot with almost like the end of BlacKkKlansman, where the camera's steady, but it looks like the character's on like a treadmill moving towards it, where they're not walking, but I don't know
kind of like
specifically.
Spike Lee.
Yeah, like I don't know specifically the shot, like what it's called, but it was really impressive. And like I said, I think Nia DaCosta does have a lot of visual flair with her movies, and I like seeing that. But this one for me just didn't really work. I wasn't super invested in it. Performances are good. Some of the visuals are right. I just didn't really care too much about anything that was going on in it.
Yeah, I like this one enough. I think it's well directed and it looks great. I just think this story for me wasn't the most gripping. I do like, and I think I said this when I talked about it back in 2025. I like movies about smart people being smart and like kind of politicking and getting a leg up on other people. And that's a lot of this movie of just her Tessa Thompson trying to lay out the best possible scenario for herself by kind of pitting people against each other. And I like that aspect, but after a point in the movie, you're just like, okay, just be done. Okay, we did it. I get what you're doing. We can wrap it up now. So I do think it looks great, and I get the performances being kind of one of the more like heavily talked about things because I think all the performances across the board are good. Mm-hmm. This was the first inclination that I'm like, all right, Nia DaCosta, I'm starting to like you as a director a little bit more, and then Bone Temple now. I that's my favorite of her directorial efforts. I haven't seen Little Woods. I believe was her first one that you brought up. I also haven't seen that one. So, but happy you watched it. Kind of just cleaning up some leftover stuff from 2025. Speaking of cleaning up movies from 2025, which this is like maybe my biggest gripe now. I think with award season is movies that are made in 2025 coming out in 2026. I think I've already talked about this. It just pisses me off. Just give me all the movies in 2025. I get that you're trying to finagle release scheduling and stuff like that, or get secure funding or whatever. Sure, why not? But I think, you know what? If you don't come out to the masses until 2026, then sorry, you're a 2026 movie. But anyway, I saw Dead Man's Wire this past week. I actually took my mom to go see it. She always reaches out to me and she's like, hey, what should I go see? What should I go see? And like, I'll try and go see movies with her, but it's also, I have a bad track record of taking my family to see movies and then being like, that fucking sucked. And I'm like, I love that movie. Like, I like a lot of things that I see. My family's a little bit more picky, but I know what they're more in line with. They like more crime thrillers, action movies, some comedies. But Dead Man's Wire, I sent my mom the trailer and she's like, yes, I want to see that. And I'm like, perfect. So I took her out, and any movie I get to see with my mom, it already has like this little like heart lens, like heart-coated glasses where it colors the entire experience I have, because I love seeing movies with my mom. But this is coming from Gus Van Sant, director of Good Will Hunting, Milk, Drugstore Cowboy, which I haven't seen, but that's probably of Gus Van Sant's work, probably one of his more prestigious works. Starring Bill Skarsgård, a surprising Cary Elwes, who, when he pops up in the movie, I was like, who the fuck is this guy? And it wasn't until like halfway in, I was like, holy shit! That's Wesley from The Princess Bride! Like, no way! Al Pacino in a small role, and I looked it up. Dacre Montgomery.
There you go.
We talked about it, and I had to still look it up.
I looked up the Google pronunciation
I
for
also
you.
did. Just now. Dacre Montgomery and Coleman Domingo. It's based on a true story. In 1977, Indianapolis, I believe, Tony Kurtris entered the office of Richard Hall, president of the Meridian Mortgage Company, and took him hostage with a sawed-off shotgun wired with a dead man's wire from the trigger to Tony's own neck. So, guns to the back of his neck, and if he moves too much, the wire's going to pull the trigger and he's going to lose a head. His head's going to get blown smooth off. And I think that there's a lot of good drama there, a lot of good suspense. There's also some good humor in this because Bill Skarsgård as Tony Kurtris, he's not like the most like suave, smooth guy. Like he's not a mean-spirited man. He's been done wrong, or he sees an injustice against himself and he's seeking retribution for it. And he's doing it in a very showy, violent way, but he's also like, the cops are coming up to him at gunpoint and he's like, put the gun down. Bill? Hey, Bill, how you doing? As he has a guy with a shotgun to the back of his neck. He's like, how you doing? Yeah, can I have your car so I can get back to my apartment? Didn't really think this part through. We were trying to get to his car, but it's in a garage downtown, and I don't want to walk that far. And it's just, there's interesting moments where it's just like, oh, this is a human being who's in a bad situation, and he didn't know how to figure it out. So he's doing his best. He's doing horrific things, horrible things, but he's trying to just sort things out. And he kind of sees himself as a hero because he's the small guy standing up to the big guy, trying to get what he believes is owed to him and to send a message like, hey, we're all important and all that stuff. And it works really well. I really just dug this movie. We talked about it when we saw The Secret Agent from last year. That movie's set, I believe it might have been even set in 1977 as well. That movie really handles the time period, the setting. It looks authentic to that time period. Not only that, the filmmaking technique and style of the edit feels like it was made in the 70s. I can say the exact same thing about Dead Man's Wire. This film feels like I could have done a double showing of this and Dirty Harry. Even though not the same release year, or not both in 1977, but it feels like that time period, that era, and it works so well. It feels nostalgic. Bill Skarsgård is excellent. He, like I said, there's a lot of humor with him, surprisingly. He sometimes, the way his voice sounds and the way his character talks, it slips into Pennywise. He gets a little grovelly. I'm like, there he is. Found you fucking rat. Sometimes that slips in. Carrie Elways was a surprise. He was really good. A lot of like aside from the main hitters that I mentioned, a lot of the supporting cast is padded out by character actors and actors I've never really recognized before, and it made it feel more real, and it works and it serves the story as well. The movie's an hour and 50 minutes long. It's a long time for a guy to have a shotgun strapped to his neck, and it does kind of feel its length a little bit. It feels like it's 2 hours and 10. It feels like there's 20 minutes in there that just came out of nowhere. I really like the movie, and it does take its time, and in doing so, it feels more in line with like movies of the 70s where I'm like, we're really just like marinating in the story and letting it feel itself out. We're spending a lot of time with these characters, but I'm like, I feel like we could trim it up, but I don't know what I would trim up out of this. Al Pacino has a small role. I think he's hit that point in his career where he is just a Hollywood legend, where he can take a vacation to like the Bahamas, and Gus Van Sant's like, we'll fly the camera to you. We'll just come to you. You have a little bit of a southern draw, almost like, think about Colonel Sanders had sex with Benoit Blanc. Do a little bit of that, and then just be a disapproving father that's not going to go to bat for his son. Perfect. We'll have you in like 5 scenes. He's still good. Dacre Montgomery is sensational. He's like, I liked him as Billy in Stranger Things when he was in it. I love him as the Red Power Ranger in like the 2016 Power Rangers, which they just decided never to touch again because it didn't make a lot of money. I get that, but I love that movie. He's really good in this movie. I think they have a good back and forth, him and Bill Skarsgård. It is really much a movie that lies on both of their shoulders, and they have a good camaraderie of like, you have me at gunpoint, but we can still have conversations. And there's a good complexity there. My favorite thing in the world is Coleman Domingo's voice at the moment, and he thankfully is in this movie in a very specific role that services that love that I have of his voice. He is the local radio station host. I think it's Fred Temple is his name, and Tony, Bill Skarsgård's character, is in love with Fred. He loves Fred. He listens to his radio show every day. So they have some good interactions, good dialogue between each other where they talk, and Coleman Domingo as Fred is like, I'm helping a guy who's kind of infamously having a dude at gunpoint for the past 3 days. So I'm trying to be nice, but also I don't want to be nice to him because he's doing a horrible thing, but also he's not a mean guy, so he's just maybe unwell. I didn't know where the story was going. It was kind of unpredictable. And I was really surprised by that because it is based on a true story. I saw this movie, like I said, with my mom, also my stepdad, and they're both were alive in the 70s. So I'm like, did you guys hear about this? Do you guys remember this at all? And they're like, not a clue. And I'm like, good. We all had no idea where this was going the entire time. It was a really great time. I loved it. The like I said, the feel of the movie, it just screams the 70s. It sounds like the 70s. And the performances, the honestly, the costuming even, everything is just so exceptionally done. It's a bit long, but I had a great time watching it. There's some good humor in there, surprisingly. And of a Gus Van Sant movie like Good Will Hunting, I haven't seen all of his movies, but I would put this near that echelon in terms of like a really well-made film. And it's kind of gotten lost this award season, which is kind of sad, because I think there are some really good performances and some really good writing in here as well.
I've heard a lot of good things. I'm super interested in checking this out. It just sounds like a really interesting story to adapt into a movie. So, I'll definitely be watching that one here soon. But you mentioned Good Will Hunting, and we did have another movie starring Matt Damon and Ben Affleck.
Look at that segue.
Look at that segue.
That
worked out
segue.
perfectly, huh?
Crazy.
That was hot as fuck. So Matt Damon and Ben Affleck reteamed for another action movie that is dropped on Netflix earlier this week, The Rip, which is directed by Joe Carnahan, also written by him. Ben Affleck and Matt Damon did not write the movie. But Joe Carnahan, gave us the A-Team. This fucking movie's awesome.
Beautiful.
This movie we watched as kids, and this shit was tight.
No, still awesome. The part
Yeah.
when Murdoch is spinning around on the helicopter propeller singing, "You spin me around," that I don't think I've laughed that hard at a movie ever in my life.
It's so good. And I watched the Gray last year, and also from Joe Carnahan. Really liked that movie.
Awesome movie.
So he's got a little track record here, just some kind of under the radar action movies, and this is another really good one. This movie fucking rips. So basically, it's about this group of cops in Miami, and they find this like $20 million in cash. And it's kind of like this drug money, and they're trying to seize it, but then people are coming in, they want the money, they're questioning whether people on their own team are involved in this money and want to steal it for themselves. And this movie's pretty good. Like, it's a nice little solid action movie. It is, like, a lot better than other Netflix original movies I've seen. This one, to me, felt like Havoc, which we talked about a bit before this, in terms of, like, Netflix giving a director some money and letting them make the movie instead of making it feel like a Netflix kind of washed out digital movie. This movie actually is looks good. It's like lit well. It looks normal. And that was a big part of it. The cast is also really good here. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, they're great together. Anytime they team up for something, it's fun. Teyana Taylor, Kyle Chandler, Stephen Yeun, Scott Adkins. You have Supergirl, not Millie Alcock, but Sasha Calle, who was in The Flash. Remember that? Remember when she was Supergirl in The Flash? Yeah.
Honestly, maybe the best part of that movie.
Honestly, she was actually pretty good. So you have a good cast filling it out here, and this movie is not like a straight action movie. It really is more of like a kind of suspense thriller, a bit of people within the team trying to figure out who wants this money, what's going on, and it was a fun little reveals, twist turns along the way. The biggest fault with this movie is that it has the over-explaining problem, and this is where it kind of does feel like a Netflix movie, where it feels like they know that people are on their phones while this movie is playing in the background, so they have to explain what's going on every few minutes. And so it's like they do a reveal that I'm like, oh, that's interesting, that's cool. But then they do a flashback scene from earlier in the movie, and then they explain it again, and then the character says what they're doing, and I'm like, I got it. I understand. You don't need to spoon feed me the answer. I get it. So that was the biggest fault for me there. But when it does have action in it, it's pretty fun. Just shootouts in this garage with some drug money. Cartels kind of get involved for a little bit. I had a good time with this movie. It's a little forgettable, but I don't know. Coming out of awards season, sometimes these movies are nice, and as a kid, I think if I would have watched this, I'd be like, "Fuck yeah!" And even now, who am I kidding? I'm like, "Fuck yeah, that's tight!" Seeing Matt Damon and Ben Affleck shoot shit in the dark, yeah, tight.
In the dark,
shit's blowing up, tight, nice. So I had fun with this. I think Joe Carnahan continues to make some nice little action thrillers. It's a good little watch, better than a lot of other Netflix movies if you're looking for a decent watch.
I didn't check it out, but I kind of had the intention to this past week. I just started looking through some other movies that I needed to clean up from last year. I'll probably end up watching it soon since it is readily available on Netflix. I do like Joe Carnahan a lot. Did you ever see Cop Shop?
I have not. I know you really like that.
I would really recommend that one. I think that and A-Team, in terms of action movies, those are some of his best. I think The Grey is my favorite of his movies. But action-wise, A-Team is so much fun, and Cop Shop is just wild. I love that movie. So yeah, I'll maybe check that out. I love the dynamic between Damon and Affleck all the time. So whenever they can put them on screen together, I want to see it at some point. I did check off a movie from my list from 2025 in terms of awards contention and all that talk. One that I wasn't so excited about, just because watching the trailer, I was like, oh, that's gonna be a tough watch. Regardless of if the movie is good or not. Which I watched If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, coming from 2025, directed by Mary Bronstein. This is the film that Rose Byrne is really chugging along into the awards contention and still keeping this movie kind of relevant. Not that the movie should be irrelevant. It's a really well-made movie. It's really I think this is Mary Bronstein's directorial debut, and it's really well done. And you got Conan O'Brien helping out, pad out the cast. A$AP Rocky doing better work here than he did in High and Low from last year, which it's like, damn, Spike Lee couldn't get a good performance out of you. That's crazy. Maybe I blame Spike for it then. But this movie is about a mother just struggling to live her life and properly provide for her daughter that has a disease where she has no desire to eat. I need to look it up. I think it's called ARFID or something like that, where she has food, the texture of it is so off-putting she doesn't eat, so she has a tube into her body where they have to kind of feed her through almost like an IV drip just to get her nutrients and get her up to a healthy, sustainable weight. So this mother, Rose Byrne, is struggling to facilitate that while her husband is away on work. They don't really fully disclose a lot of what he does. Husband's also played by Christian Slater. He's mostly through the phone the entire time. So the entire movie, if you don't know it's him, you're going to be like, who the fuck? Why is that so familiar? And then he pops up at the end. This movie looked like it was just going to be the trials and tribulations of a single mom, basically. Which I've seen movies that handle the issues of, or not the issues, but the hardships of motherhood, like Tully. And I love that movie. It's a hard sell to want to go watch this movie, but I was really pleasantly surprised, not only at the quality of it, it is a really well-made movie, but it is kind of a thriller. It is more of a suspenseful thriller. There's even more out there kind of potentially ethereal horror elements. The directing of this film felt similar to Jonathan Glazer's Under the Skin at times, which I love that movie. So I was really taken aback by the style of this movie, and you're watching this entire movie being like, can someone throw this woman a fucking bone? Can someone help her out? And I think Dan Murrell said it in his review. He was like, this movie is the best birth control you could ever get, because being a parent and potentially on your own, at least for a little bit, having to raise a kid, especially if they have more kind of specific needs, the issues that you're destined to run into and the hardships you're going to face, it seems daunting. And in this movie, it is daunting. It's really well done. Performances are all great. Conan O'Brien is pretty good as a foil to Rose Byrne in some scenes. They both play therapists in the same office, but Rose Byrne also goes to him for therapy. So there's just an interesting kind of relationship between those two characters that I really liked. They do this thing throughout the movie that I thought was kind of okay, hoity-toity art house thing. You never see the daughter's face. The entire movie. You hear her voice, but you never get a close-up on this daughter's face. Spoiler alert, until the end. And while watching the movie, at least in the first maybe 20 minutes, I was like, God, okay, I see what you're doing. Okay, fine. And it kind of wore thin for me for a little bit, but as the movie went on, you stopped noticing that you're not seeing this girl's face, because it's not necessarily about the daughter, it's about the mother working to help the daughter. And then you get kind of that payoff at the end of the movie where you finally see the daughter's face, and the mom has a moment where she can just breathe a little bit. And I think that the ending is really good. I was kind of surprised at how much I ended up really liking this movie and how much I got from it. I knew it was going to be well made and I knew the performances were going to be good, but I thought that the substance of this movie was more surprising than what I was expecting to get. So I'd recommend it. I don't think Rose Byrne really has a shot at beating out Jessie Buckley for Hamnet in terms of best lead actress. But I do think if it were to be a 2-horse race, it is definitely between Buckley and Byrne. She's amazing in this movie. It's the best she's ever been. And she's devastating. Like, it's great.
I agree that she is kind of the sleeper to upset Buckley if there was somebody to do it at the Oscars. But Rose Byrne has always been so good, even if it's in a role like Neighbors or something, or Bridesmaids, whatever it is.
She's awesome in Neighbors.
Yeah, like, she's great. She's just a delightful person. I love Rose Byrne. So this one, she's going to get nominated for an Oscar, so I absolutely will watch it. And it's just kind of a matter of when the nomination's coming on Thursday. So once that happens...
Oh my god, I forgot about that. I can't wait.
Thursday morning, so fucking excited. But
I should have taken Thursday off from work, damn.
Should have, yeah. But yeah, it'll be exciting. I think that's probably the only nomination this movie will get.
Yeah, probably.
I haven't really heard much buzz about any other categories, but Rose Byrne, I'm excited to check her out in this.
Yeah, aside from that this week, and aside from like the newer releases, I watched a couple of Star Trek movies. I'm doing kind of a weird, wonky, jerry-rigged watch through of this franchise, not necessarily in chronological order. Kind of jumped around, but I went back and watched Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home, which is the second film directed by Leonard Nimoy within the franchise. Came out in 1986. It's the one with the whales. It's the whole whaling subplot, or due to this
Don't talk about your sister like that. Man.
I don't have a sister, so that joke's okay for all of you that don't know me and are like, damn, he's mean. That's our safe way, because we're not going to make jokes about each other's moms, because we both love each other's moms in like a normal, appropriate way.
Yeah.
So Corey's sister's a fucking baddie. Also doesn't have a sister.
All right.
What?
That one felt, yeah, it was a little much.
Oh, that one was too much?
Yeah.
I was laying it on?
It's 2026.
You can call
Maybe
my imaginary sister a whale.
Be a little bit.
But I can't say, oh, she's a baddie, which is like a pretty common term now. I don't know.
Just be a little respectful.
Just two 25-year-old white kids that are so stupid all the time. Because that's what this podcast is. They're still here, thanks. I'm going to talk about a movie from 1986. So they need whales in Star Trek, because there's a space probe that enters the galaxy, and it's sending out this frequency that no one can decipher. Nothing can understand that frequency. But then they're like, wait a minute, there was this creature back in the 80s called the humpback whale that understands that frequency. It's the most Star Trek-y Star Trek plot you could get in one of these major motion pictures, one of these films. And it really works in a refreshing way. This movie has a good amount of comedy and a great camaraderie between the cast. No matter what, all of these Star Trek movies that I've been watching, regardless of the quality of them, which most of them I really liked, the camaraderie of the cast is the thing that usually saves the movies for me. If they're good, bad, doesn't matter. As long as I get a lot of time with the crew, I love it. And you get a lot of good exchanges between Shatner and Nimoy as they're in San Francisco, and they're just trying to figure out, like, how do we get this whale? Oh, there's this woman that works at, I don't know what the technical term, maybe like a SeaWorld or like this enclosure for the whales. And Shatner, as Kirk, is trying to chat her up a little bit, and Leonard Nimoy is just like swimming in the tank to the whale, and he's like, what the fuck are you doing, Spock? And it's just, there's funny moments like that. I really enjoyed this movie. I think a lot of the times looking at like the Star Trek rankings, or like the way people view the Star Trek films, this one's usually towards the top of the list just because it is so fun, and it does feel like a very Star Trek-y plot, and it works. And yes, it is a bit kind of absurd that, oh, it's the whaling one, but they fold it into the story to where it makes sense, and it's worth it. And I think that, honestly, the cast and the crew and the chemistry everyone has together is just shown and is on display ad nauseum in this movie in such a good way. It's just so fun to watch these people bicker with each other, because you can feel the history that these actors have and these characters have with each other, where it's like a working relationship, and you talk to coworkers that you've had for such a long time in a specific way, and it works so well. So The Voyage Home, very refreshing in terms of a Star Trek movie, a very bright, kind of upbeat movie, a lot of jokes, and it very quotable too. Very fun, definitely would recommend. I then did go on to watch Star Trek Episode 7. Voyage Home is Episode 4. I skipped a couple of them, and then went to Generations, which is the one that is kind of famed for bringing Jean-Luc Picard, Patrick Stewart, into the same world as James T. Kirk, played by William Shatner. At least Kirk into Picard's world, I should say. Because there's like a 80-year time jump between the original cast and the Next Generations crew. And this movie, it's usually highlighted for being the movie that gets them two together, which you don't get a lot of. They're probably on screen together for maybe 20 minutes of the movie. And not to say that stuff isn't good. It's just like, I kind of want more. And also the way that they kind of work Kirk back into Star Trek feels a little fan fiction-y. It's like, wait, how does that happen? How is he here? How is Picard seeing him? Why is it just feels underbaked? And they're like, guys, we just need to give surface level explanations here just to get these two on the same screen. And there's a lot of things that people kind of dislike with this movie. One being that, spoiler alert to you, because I know you're going to probably watch through the Star Trek movies, Kirk dies at the end of this movie. And he dies in a very William Shatner way of a bridge falls on him, and Picard goes to help him. And his final words are William Shatner in the most like Kirkiest Kirk, oh my, and then he dies. And
nice.
some people don't love that. I'm like, I kind of knew that going into it. I'm like, I know this is the one where Kirk dies too, and it works. It just feels odd to bring Kirk out of the past, have him interlink with Picard for maybe 20 minutes, and then we're going to kill him with a bridge falling on him, which is a complaint that's been said a lot about this movie from fans of this movie and this franchise. Again, no matter what with these Star Trek movies, the quality of the film doesn't matter the most to me. It's just the camaraderie of the crews and giving me likable characters, and this movie still does it, bar none. Like, I had such a fun time watching this movie still, even though there are like some character quirks or some storytelling elements that I'm like, that's half-assed, that makes no sense. What about this? That's a plot hole. You get the introduction, at least in terms of films, you get Data, played by Brett Spiner. Really loved his inclusion. LeVar Burton's in this one. I dug the group. Jonathan Frakes is in this. Malcolm McDowell plays the heavy. He's the villain of this movie. I will say, I watched this movie more recent than Voyage Home. I couldn't tell you what his plan was of a villain. Like, I don't remember what he was trying to do. Probably destroy a planet. I don't know the bare minimum motivations for this man. But his performance was good, and he's really nutty because it's Malcolm McDowell. It's like, I'm going to do Clockwork Orange again. Like, it works. He's really good, and he's really kind of imposing, and it makes sense to me to why Kirk and Picard have to take him down together, and they work together to do so. And in that scene, I really enjoyed that. William Shatner, at his age, trying to throw a punch is a little bit like Robert De Niro in The Irishman trying to throw a baseball. Like, it's not great. But I still really liked it. I had a great time watching it. We're getting into the period of like the Star Trek movies where I'm on like the guilty pleasure watches of like, if I look up Star Trek fandom, I'm like, what's the one that you like but everyone else hates? Or what's the movie? Because like, I probably won't watch Nemesis because everyone hates that one, even though Tom Hardy's in it. I likely won't watch Final Frontier because I don't need to see the USS Enterprise encounter God. And I've seen the Kelvin timeline, and I actually like 2 of those movies a lot. So I'm going to try. I did order Insurrection. We'll talk about that in a second. I'm excited to watch that one. That one is looked at as being a really weak one in the franchise, but I'm just like chomping at the bits for more Star Trek movies. Weirdly enough, during this weird little watch through I'm doing, so I would recommend watching all the Star Trek movies, except for maybe the ones that I've skipped because I can't speak to them. I skipped them for a reason. Everyone tells me they're bad. But I'm really excited to sit down and watch. I'm going to rewatch the motion picture probably here soon because I bought the director's cut Blu-ray of that. I'm really excited about that. And I'm going to watch Star Trek Insurrection probably this week as well as First Contact, which is looked at as being like one of the top 5 Star Trek movies. So I feel so nerdy right now talking about Star Trek, but I was a Star Wars nerd growing up, and seeing Star Trek in this way, it's like, I get it. I get why people love Star Trek so much. This is a really fun franchise.
I said it last week, it's just been so interesting the way that you've
I'm just bouncing around. Yeah.
My OCD is just like, man, just go through in order. Just watch them.
Well, I wasn't planning on it. I was just like, I'll watch Undiscovered Country because that one's supposed to be
Let me
really
start with
good.
6.
Let me start with 6. Which I Googled. I was like, what's the best Star Trek movie that I could watch without having seen all of them? And then Undiscovered Country was one of the top ones that it recommended. I was like, all right, I'll go see that. Or I'll watch that. And then I was like, fuck, I really like that. Are there any more? Yeah, there's a lot more. And they're all really good so far. So I'm having a good time with them.
I'm excited to see which variation of movies you watch next week and coming weeks. Coming out this week, we have a few different things. First one, probably the biggest one, is Mercy, which stars Chris Pratt. And he plays a detective that is on trial for murdering his wife. And he has to prove his innocence to an AI judge that is seemingly played by Rebecca Ferguson. And sort of an interesting concept. I don't know. I don't know that I'll see it in theaters this week, but I'm not completely ruling out that I'll watch and like this movie. I don't know. There's something there.
It feels like a Netflix original plot. Like, this feels like a straight to Netflix movie. It's interesting that it's in theaters, but you got big names attached to it. But it's also coming from the director of Wanted, which I like, but then also Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. So I was like,
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
The one that I will see in theaters this week is Return to Silent Hill, and it's from the same director as the original Silent Hill movie. And I've never seen Silent Hill or Silent Hill Revelations, I think it is. One of the very generic overused subtitles for movies, but I've never seen either of them. I've never played the games before. I don't know anything about this world, so I'm excited to dive into those couple movies and kind of just learn more about it. It's like Silent Hill's a town that's consumed by darkness, so sure, I don't know. Looks kind of interesting. I know you sort of like the first movie.
Yeah, the first one's like not a bad little horror video game adaptation. So I saw the second one first, and it was a Redbox movie. I was like 12 or so when it came out. I'm trying to look up when it came out. It came out in 2012. Yeah, so I was probably 12 when I watched it. And I remember even as a 12-year-old thinking that this movie was ass. Which, like, if I like everything I see, almost. So if I think a movie's bad, even when I'm a 12-year-old and The Expendables is my favorite movie I've ever seen, then you know shit's bad.
Like, I'm saying something.
So I've had no desire to rewatch that movie. I might have to rewatch the original Silent Hill because I haven't seen it for a while, but I remember liking that one a decent amount.
I'm excited to watch that one. But if you're not looking for any of those big movies, there's a movie called H is for Hawk. And it's about a woman that loses her dad and then becomes friends with a hawk. Sure. You know what?
I found out the new releases this week on the show notes, and I was just like, do we talk about that? It has like a decent enough cast with Claire Foy and Brendan Gleeson, so I'm like, maybe?
Denise Goff from Andor, she's great in that. I mean, I like to shout out movies, even if we're not interested in them. I like to shout out what's coming out in the week, but it could be really good. It's just the premise is like, I lost my dad, Hawk. Okay.
This Hawk, sure. The way he squawks, that's my dad right there.
Big time.
Big time squawk of this guy.
Big time squawk. Love that. And then expanding this week, we've talked about a little bit The Testament of Ann Lee from Mona Fastfold. Amanda Seyfried is kind of on the edge of like awards nominations. I don't think she'll get an Oscar nom, but it's kind of a musical of sorts, a historical piece. So excited for that one. But yeah, very, a good variety this week of stuff coming out.
Yeah, I'm going to try and check out Ann Lee and Return to Silent Hill. I've been I do pretty well when I do like 2 movies a week. I think that helps me not want to fucking drive off the road into like the guardrails or anything.
Glad to hear that.
Yeah, when I watch 2 movies a week, I'm usually at my best. So, and I'm really excited for The Testament of Ann Lee. The cast is awesome for it, so I can't wait. Moving into physical media roundup, like I said, I did mention that I bought the 4K Blu-ray of Star Trek Insurrection, which again is not looked at as being one of the strongest entries into the film franchise. It's mostly referred to as being just an extra long episode of the TV show Next Generation. So I'm excited to watch it. Data's ass is inflatable, which he's a cyborg, so I'm excited to see how that works. He's like, my ass is a flotation device, and it's just like, what?
Damn.
That's the only thing I know about that movie.
All right.
And then I also bought, coming off of Bone Temple, I finally bought the 4K Blu-ray of 28 Years Later, just because now I kind of want to rewatch it after seeing Bone Temple, because I like that movie a decent amount, even though I do prefer Bone Temple overall.
Mm-hmm. Coming out this week, a lot of big heavy hitters. We have one battle after another, which we'll talk about more in a second here. You got Wicked for Good, which a lot of the releases, like, they don't have a steelbook for this release, which is weird.
Because the last steelbook was great, and I was hoping to just go back-to-back with steelbooks for both of these movies, because I like both of these movies enough to buy them. But yeah, it's just like a pretty standard 4K Blu-ray, at least it's a 4K Blu-ray, not just one or the other.
Right, it's kind of normal releases. We also have Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, which I like that movie. It's pretty good. And then we had Roofman as well, and then Fackham Hall, and then if you're looking for a 4K of Snakes on a Plane, it's coming out this week. Fucking love that movie.
The 5 of you that are just itching for that.
Yeah, the TV edit of the Sam Jackson scene in that movie is incredible.
I watched that movie almost exclusively on FX as a kid.
Yeah. I fucking love Snakes on a Plane. All right, getting into the Golden Globes happened last Sunday. Kind of late on it. I don't know. Maybe we could have planned it out better, but whatever. Golden Globes happened. It's Hollywood's biggest party. Everyone's kind of drunk, and it's not very serious, really. But I still love it. I love award shows. I love awards season, so this is just my bread and butter right here. And the big winner, like I mentioned, one battle after another. Won 4 awards on the night. Got Best Picture, Musical or Comedy. They break it up that way, which this movie made me laugh a lot, so I'm like, fine.
It's better than them saying The Martian is a comedy.
Right.
Because that's like the infamous one, I feel like, for me. But
And Judd Apatow, when he presented Best Director this year, he was like, yeah, my movie Trainwreck lost to The Martian in Best Musical or Comedy. He had a whole bit about it at this show, which was actually pretty funny. I like that. But yeah, so it got that award. It got Best Director for PTA, got Screenplay, and then Tiana Taylor won Supporting Actress for this one. So kind of teeing up a little bit of like her and Amy Madigan for the Oscars, I feel like.
Yeah.
I think Ariana Grande's dropped a bit.
Yeah.
Pretty like deep category. There's a lot of other people. I'm very curious for Oscar Sunday to see, because there's like a couple sentimental value people, like Odessa Zion,
Yeah.
Wunmi Mosaku is kind of in that mix. So there's a lot of like 7 or 8 people that I think could get in. Also, Hamnet had a good night. Got Best Picture Drama there. And then Timothée Chalamet won for Marty Supreme. Seems like he's kind of on track to win, which I fucking love.
Feels like a lock, which I'm so happy that he's getting it for this as opposed to Bob Dylan in Complete Unknown. Like, this role feels so special.
Yeah.
As Marty Supreme.
100%. Yeah, love Marty Mauser. K-Pop Demon Hunters had a good night. Got Best Animated Picture, and then got Best Original Song for Golden. Secret Agent actually had a really good night. It got Best Non-English Language Movie, and then Wagner Moura won Best Actor in a Drama. So I think that kind of cements him a little bit as a nominee for sure in Best Actor. Rose Byrne, she won for Best Actress in a Drama. You mentioned for If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. And then Stellan Skarsgård won for Sentimental Value. And I do want to just quickly shout out the format of the Golden Globes, because I talked last week about the Critics' Choice, which I think they have a really good show. A tight 3-hour show where they get everything. It's just the awards. This show has a lot of dumb bits. Nikki Glaser is fine as the host. Again, just a lot of dumb shit that takes up time that we don't need. But when the winners were announced, they would have not only random fucking Lil Jon songs playing, they would have like 2 DJs that were commentating what was going on and saying, like, here's a fact about Stellan Skarsgård as he's walking up to the stage. Just play the score for the movie and let him walk up stage.
Yeah.
I don't need this fucking bullshit. I hate what the Globes is doing. Also, this is what I hate about award shows recently, is they don't show clips from the movies anymore.
I miss that.
Like, except for one category, I forget what it was, but the Globes is weird because they'll show like a wide shot of the room and then like a pinpoint location marker of where the person's sitting in the room, and then like a shot of them sitting at their table, but they won't show any clips from the movie, which I fucking hate. This show, these awards are about recognizing these people's work. Show a 10-second clip from their work.
Yeah.
Whatever. Also, they introduced the Best Podcast Award this year, which we're on a fucking podcast, but that does not need to be recognized at the Golden Globes. There's awards for podcasts.
Yeah.
This is movies and television. That's what we need to do here. Like, Amy Poehler won for Good Hang, which I've heard people like, and I've seen some clips from. Looks fine. Like, looks cool. But, like, the fact that they gave this award and then they didn't let Ludwig Göransson present best or like show his speech for Best Original Score is insane to me.
Yeah.
That, like, for one of the best scores of the year, like, you put him during a commercial break and you can only watch it on YouTube or on their Instagram or whatever the fuck. That's insane to me. That's fucking wild. So I have a lot of problems with how the Globes just kind of handle shit. Also, the Cinematic and Box Office Achievement Award is really dumb. Sinners won that, which, like, cool, but like it's just an award to be like Barbie won, and then I forget what won last year, but it's just kind of like hey, we didn't want to recognize you in any of the big categories, so like here's the other award to like get you on stage and to get the big stars on stage. I don't really care for that award, and just the choices they're making are really weird. On the TV side of things, you know, stop me if you've heard this before, but The Pit, The Studio, and Adolescence did really well. Those are the 3 kind of this season that they're killing it. But again, Ray Seahorn won for Pluribus for Best Actress in a Drama. Love to see that. I love that show. So, a lot of like expected winners, but I still enjoy watching it, even with all my frustrations with how they sort of handle the show and the awards that they're giving out themselves.
Yeah, I never watched the Globes. I almost did this year. I thought about it, but I don't put a lot of credibility into the voting party of the Globes, the Hollywood Foreign Press, like 70-odd people that work for the Hollywood Foreign Press. It's like, okay.
Well, it's not even the Hollywood Foreign Press anymore. That's disbanded.
Oh, what is it called now?
I forget what the thing is, but after the fucking whatever, Me Too, not Me Too, but all this, the 2020s have been interesting. After they said we need to disband that, they got rid of that, and it's some other thing now.
But still,
Whatever.
their voting body is like 70-odd people. And a large influx of them are from Brazil. So I'm like seeing Wagner Moura win, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. Which, like, I like him in that movie, and I'm completely thrilled about that. But the issues with award shows is them trying to keep themselves relevant or update the way that they broadcast them, how they show the awards, what bits they do. You don't need to do that. We are coming to watch this because it's an awards show. Are your numbers failing? Yeah, it's because not a lot of people watch awards shows. Don't try and get other people in. Just appease the people that are here to watch this. And like you said, like show a clip of the work. I miss it when they used to do that at the Oscars. You'd get like everyone's Oscar clip, and now it feels like that thing is that practice is falling to the wayside now. And award shows, I'm like, it's so easy. Just don't fuck it up. You don't need to try and recreate the wheel. Just stick with the original wheel. You have them go on. You don't need to have like little sports commentators from the way you described it, fucking announcing details about their personal life. He likes to row boats in his free time, and now he won a Golden Globe. Fuck it, I don't care. Was the Little John thing, was it only for Skarsgård, or was that kind of common throughout the rest of the show? Was it a joke?
No, like it was like that song they played for him, and then just random songs for other people. The reason I like watching some of these precursor shows is I think a lot of the speeches actually do kind of matter.
Yeah.
And like one specifically is when Julia Roberts, she presented the award for Best Musical or Comedy, which went to one battle after another. But when she was on stage, she was just up there, and then she shouted out Eva Victor for Sorry Baby. She's like, this movie is incredible. This is great. The Golden Globes happened a day before Oscar voting opened. Oscar voters watching that are like, huh, Julia Roberts is saying that Sorry Baby's pretty good. It's on HBO Max right now. Let me see if that sneaks into my screenplay nominations. I think that's why it kind of matters to me, where like the winners don't necessarily correlate. Like a general sense it does, but I think things like that, where like a big celebrity is like, hey, this little movie is really good, check it out. I think that's kind of interesting, just how the award season progresses.
Okay. I mean, and I think regardless, the Golden Globes typically, maybe not so much this year, they typically put on a better show than the Oscars do. And you just got everyone kind of like loose lip, drinking a little bit, having a good time. Like I've seen the clip of Leonardo DiCaprio kind of like making moves that I think Tiana Taylor is
hilarious.
He's so memeable. He's so funny.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, moving into other movie news, we did have a couple of notable trailers that came out. We had a trailer for the second season of Monarch: Legacy of Monsters. We got the first trailer for Lee Cronin's The Mummy, and then another trailer for The Bride, directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal. The Mummy trailer is my biggest takeaway from this past week. It was really interesting, and I like what Lee Cronin did with Evil Dead Rise. So the trailer, it's pretty quick. It's not the longest trailer, and we don't get a whole lot, but we do get some good imagery. And was it What Happened to Katie? Or
yeah, that's interesting.
I'm like, all right, where are we going with this?
I like the camera flashes of the trailer. That's really cool.
So I'm pretty excited by that. Did you have any takeaways from the other two trailers that I mentioned?
Monarch: Legacy of Monsters. I didn't watch the first season, but before whatever the next Godzilla Kong movie comes out, I actually may watch it, because like this new trailer was kind of looking interesting. You had Wyatt and Kurt Russell in there, and like I don't know, it looks like it has a pretty decent budget too. Like the effects look pretty solid, so I feel like it may lead into some of the next movies. So I'll probably check it out.
Yeah, I'm excited for The Bride, especially, but I've heard really good things about that first season of Monarch, so I'm like, maybe. Is it Apple?
Apple, yeah.
It is on Apple? Apple has just amazing shows.
Underrated.
Underrated. It's definitely worth like a relatively cheap subscription price in terms of streaming services. We also got reports this past week that suggest that Avengers Doomsday is not going to explain why Doctor Doom, played by Robert Downey Jr., resembles Tony Stark. Jeff Snyder, who is kind of a little bit of an insider, he breaks some news stories. He reported this detail, and this later was then confirmed by John Campea, John Campea is a movie pundit that I've followed since I was like 11 years old. I love him. He's one of my favorites. I don't know how. I don't think he's fully disclosed it, but he knows everything that happens in Doomsday. Him and Robert Meyer Burnett, and they all have a couple of different people that work for Disney that have corroborated things that they've heard and have confirmed things.
I hate that.
I don't mind it. I don't really care. I think I could hear almost everything about this movie. I'm still going to see it opening day, and I don't think it's going to color much. I do want some of that surprise. Like, I kind of wish we didn't have the Steve Rogers trailer, like, to know that, like, to figure he's going to be in it. But Campea, like I said, did confirm it, but he said that it's a good thing that they don't explain it, and Secret Wars will handle that after Doomsday. So I'm excited for it. I don't need to know much about this movie because I am going to go see it. And Campea even said on his show, he's like, I think by June, with how much stuff that's come out that is right about this movie and is true, he's like, by June, everyone will know almost every surprise this movie has. And that scares me. Because I'd like to have some of them, but I also don't think it's going to change the way I feel about the movie. If the movie's good, it's going to be good. If it's bad, it's bad. But I'd like to kind of have a little bit more of like in the dark on it. So all these like rumored reports that bounce around, I try not to pay too much attention to them, but this one did kind of get verified by someone that I see as being reputable. So now I'm like, all right, well, fuck.
Yeah, I'm okay with like this specifically of not getting this explanation in Doomsday, and if it's in Secret Wars, I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
like that's okay. I mean, I have the Doomsday clock on Marvel's YouTube pulled up on my TV, 10 months, 29 days, whatever the fuck. It's kind of interesting, and we talked about a little bit of the teasers for the movie of, like, people speculating that they're happening in real time, and, like, those teasers aren't, like, they're happening right now, they're not going to be clips in the movie, which I find kind of interesting, and people are breaking down clues of all of it. Yeah. I like the speculation. I fucking hate when things are leaked. I hate that, like, movie... like insiders like Jeff Snyder and John Campea can like get information from Disney. I hate that. Yeah. That is so like a year before the movie comes out and you're just like, yeah, that's true. That happens in this movie. Like, no, don't fucking do that. Let it be a surprise.
I feel like honestly at this point with movies such as this, big franchise stuff, marquee things, hot products, things that a lot of people are likely going to see. Like this movie's probably going to make like 1.5 billion, if not 2 billion. It's going to make a lot of money. I feel like if you're working on something of that high scale, you have to have workers sign like an NDA or a non-disclosure. Like you can't... I feel like some of this stuff just leaks too easily.
Yeah.
And it gets to be a bit annoying. I do think that the trailers were leaked by Marvel themselves. I feel like that was like a whole thing of them just trying to like keep Doomsday in the conversation of like, oh, the new one, we got a brand new, great quality of it, and the new one leaks the next day. Like they all followed the same like routine or weekly schedule, so it's just like, okay.
Or the 17-year-old kid running the projection at the theater was like, fuck Doomsday, let me leak this trailer real quick.
He's like, they're not gonna find me.
Steve Rogers is back, let me fucking put this on YouTube.
Yeah, so we're not gonna find out why Stark and Doctor Doom look alike, but I think not knowing or knowing that we're not gonna know in Doomsday, but having that kind of question raised as to like how are they gonna work around that makes me interested in the movie in a different way. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, it'd be nice to not know some of these things.
Yeah.
Paramount is continuing to be kind of sore losers over this past week. Paramount Skydance has escalated its hostile takeover bid. This was earlier last week. And filed lawsuits in the Delaware Chancery Court seeking disclosure of financial details behind Warner Brothers' $83 billion Netflix deal. David Ellison also announced a proxy fight nominating directors to push engagement with Paramount's $30 per share all-cash offer. I'm just talking about a lot of money things. They're just kind of not budging. I think that they've sent like 10 offers at this point to Netflix, which Netflix is just like, to Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers is like, yeah, we're going to go with Netflix at this point. Like, can you stop? Like, this thing is almost sealed and done. Not only that, but Netflix did change their offer to an all-cash offer, so that kind of sweetens the deal for Warner Brothers a little bit. And then not only that, Netflix, in a rare show of potential good, and hope that I might be able to put in Ted Sarandos, which I shit on Ted Sarandos a lot, but he is saying that, he told the New York Times, I should say, that the company will keep a 45-day theatrical windows for all films released by Warner Brothers or produced by Warner Brothers after they acquire such. Which, if you're trying to win people over before you take over something, that's the perfect thing to say. I don't know. I think He's said other things in interviews leading up to basically like, hey, we're an entertainment streaming service. We don't handle theatrical produced movies. Like this is a whole realm of business that we don't really touch. And if we take over Warner Brothers, we're just going to take it over, but keep Warner Brothers basically as is and let them run their own ship. Because if we do that, not a lot of people are going to get fired. We don't have people that do the jobs that Warner Brothers does. So he's saying things that are winning me over a little bit to Netflix acquiring Warner Brothers. Still scares me a little bit because I'm like, you also took away Blockbuster, you bitch. And I love Blockbuster. So he's saying all the right things, but they almost feel like he's saying it to say the right things.
Well, that's more so what I think. This, to me, is all the wrong things, interestingly. Because, like, 45 days is a month and a half of a movie in theaters.
That was, like, old school, like, early 2000s we'd see stuff like that. Like, in, like, the 20-teens, 2020s, we haven't seen 45-day theatrical windows in a long time.
Well, like, you think about a movie like Sinners, like, if you just limited it to a month and a half, that's significantly less money. Like, a movie's legs, like, in theaters for 3 months, where people just keep discovering it, keep going back. A movie like The Greatest Showman was a huge surprise, where the first month of that movie was like, it's
people
fine.
Kind of hearing about it.
You hear about it and you're like, oh, it's pretty good. We keep going back and back and back to the theater. Like, 45 days is nothing. I fucking hate this. Like, movies used to, over time, just build and build and build and have not big opening weekends, but used to just, like, over time grow and build kind of a cult following. And so I hate this, and it's only going to get shorter. It's going to go down to 30. They're saying, like, he's saying this now, but, like, it's going to keep going down, and Netflix is going to have a week release in theaters for a movie, and then it's going to go straight to their streaming service. Like, that's just how it's going to be, because the theatrical experience, they don't give a fuck about. They just want streaming numbers. And so I hate all of this. I wish Paramount had won the streaming, or the bidding war for this. I am not a fan of Netflix getting it. We've mentioned it before. I love the theatrical experience. Stellan Skarsgård shouted it out in his speech. He's like, go to the cinema. The cinema's great. There's nothing like sitting in a room with people and watching a movie. It's much different than sitting on your couch on your phone with distractions and dogs barking and food on the stove and all this shit. Like, I fucking hate Netflix. I hate Ted Sarandos. He's saying the corporate speak, and he's going to go back on it and change this in years. So I'm really not a fan of this whole thing.
I'm trying to be optimistic because I don't want Netflix to take him either. But if he can at least stand by at least half the things he's saying about keeping the theatrical business in the way, like 45 days is pretty good nowadays for a release window. I think it's rare when we get stuff over that. I mean, remember COVID when things dropped down to like 17-day release windows? That was fucking crazy or whatever it was. But if they're willing to try and keep Warner Brothers intact and just basically put their name on it, I'm fine with that. But the moment they start shortening release windows or moving stuff more straight to streaming or like, kind of reworking things of like, oh, this isn't turning out the way we wanted this movie to be, so instead of going full theatrical, it's going to have a day and date release on Netflix. Yep. I don't think they'll do that a whole lot because I think COVID hopefully taught a lot of these execs not to be idiots, that their movie's not going to make money or get any eyes on it if they do a day and date release. So, I don't know. I'm holding out hope, but Ted Sarandos hasn't made me necessarily happy at all in the past, so I'm trying to just, again, remain optimistic, even though the past has proven that I don't like this man and his decisions.
He's a corporate dude. He's not a movie dude.
He's a corporate dude.
Yeah.
In other news, some kind of big news for other people that really love God of War, but the God of War show is kind of going into production at Prime Video. They're doing a series, I think, that was confirmed already, greenlit for 2 seasons. The biggest conversation has been around who's going to play Kratos, the bald, muscular man with a beard who always says, boy. Like, who's going to play Kratos? I've only seen someone play this game, or one of the games, for like an hour, and I got a feel for it. There's a lot of like kind of rabid fans for this property, but Ryan Hurst, who is coming over from Sons of Anarchy fame, I don't really recognize or know much about his back catalog in terms of his performances, but Ryan Hurst has been officially cast as Kratos in this series going to Prime Video. This PlayStation adaptation is being showrun by Ronald D. Moore, who is the current showrunner of the show For All Mankind, or creator of For All Mankind, and he's the showrunner of Outlander. So there's a lot of kind of moving pieces. We got Kratos cast, which dude's got to be a muscular, big, bald guy with a beard that can kind of act and be a little stoic. So I don't know what Ryan Hurst has to bring to the table. I haven't seen a lot of his work, but from people I know that know more about Ryan Hurst, they're excited about it. I think between this and like Fallout, there's a lot of good game adaptations going to like TV and Last of Us. I don't know, since I have no familiarity to God of War, if I'm really that excited or interested in this. I need to check out Fallout for sure, because that's also Prime Video.
So good.
But I think that this is a big win for fans of the show, or fans of the game and that franchise, from what I've heard. So, I mean, yeah, pretty good news. It's a pretty big announcement for a big show that we'll have coming up in the next couple of years.
Yeah, you're a fan of the big muscular guys.
Yeah, Tom Hardy, the short 5'8"
when you first came over before we started recording, you were excited most about 28 years later, the Bone Temple, of just all of Samson. All of him that you see.
I was actually really happy that they gave him a loincloth midway through the movie. Yeah. He was just like, wait a minute, I'm becoming a little aware. I should put something over this prosthetic penis a little bit.
Yeah, you were like Ray Fiennes too, like seeing all of him. You were like pretty excited about both of those.
I completely forgot about it, and then you brought it up, and I was like, oh yeah, you do see his dick in that movie. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Ray Fiennes is in immaculate shape for being like 62. The dude's ripped.
Yeah, that's true.
He's awesome, and gives a great performance. But that's kind of beside the fact that you do also see his penis in Bone Temple. It's called Bone Temple for a reason.
That's what they call my bedroom.
Yeah. All right. No, not so. Yeah.
You gonna do the outro?
No, you used to get the fucking leg with that one. Anyway, sorry for that. Thanks for joining us for another episode. My bad. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Slate Night, the Film Fan Podcast. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok for more in-depth movie reviews and movie news. In the world of film, it's not just about what's on screen. It's also about who's next to you in the theater. We have a big week this week. We get to talk about Oscar nominees next week.
Yes.
I didn't even think about that, but before you brought it up on Thursday, we'll get that announced for us. So we'll get to unpack those, and we'll find out how much homework we have looking into leading up.
We're pretty on top of it. I feel like we're pretty good.
I'm hopeful. I know Arco animated features, like some of those like more out
there gets nominated,
stuff, but. Yeah, we'll be able to talk about Oscars next week.
Probably do maybe an Oscar episode on like Thursday night or Friday or something. Yeah. I feel like that'd be pretty fun. We've also, just a quick shout out, been posting some of our individual reviews. Started out with Primate from last week. Mason talked about that movie. Gonna try and do that a bit more, of just like 28 years later, the Bone Temple, do like the chunk of the review from this episode, put that out there. If you don't want to watch a full hour and a half of two fucking idiots talking, and one of them's drinking Busch Light and has crushed 3 of them already, so...
Damn, you made quick work.
Dude, it's fucking Busch.
It's been like an hour and 25 at least.
Yeah, dude, it's great. It's like water, man. It's fucking great. Dry January's for suckers.
I got like 10 days, like 13 days
Then you can drink for the other 11 months of the year, so you're doing healthy.
I am going to get sloshed watching the Super Bowl, but my brother... Yeah. We already did like the outro, and now we're just rambling.
Yeah, fuck it.
But my brother, his youngest baby, Miles, it's his birthday, and they decided, Tyler, if you're watching, I'm a little mad at you for doing this. They're going to have Miles' birthday on Super Bowl Sunday.
What the fuck?
See? That's the reaction you're going to get from people when you're telling me you're going to have a baby.
Is his birthday on Sunday? No. Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Which, like, he wants people over to his house, which I'll probably be there, but... I want to get sloshed and watch a football game and get rowdy.
Yeah.
Kids are going to be around. Tyler, if you're watching this, reconsider.
Change it. You have time. You have fucking time. Yeah.
Facebook event invites have been sent out. My wife said, she's like, oh, we're doing Miles' birthday on Sunday. I'm like, Sunday what? February 8th. I'm like, no, we're not.
That's my day.
It's for me.
It's not his day.
For me to yell.
Yeah, it's not even his fucking birthday. I'll send Tyler a message here. You can expect a message, Tyler.
You'll be hearing from my
You'll be hearing from me, yeah. Anyways, from Mason and I at Slate Night, that's a wrap.